Chapter 12, Department of Energy and Related Commissions. Author, Bernard L. McNamee, an energy and regulatory attorney with a major law firm, formerly a member of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. The conservative mission for the Department of Energy, DOA, is to prioritize dominance in energy and science, which will ensure that Americans have abundant, affordable, and reliable energy, create good, paying jobs, support domestic manufacturing and technology leadership, and strengthen national security. McNamee argues that the U.S. is in an energy crisis that has been created by ideologically driven extreme green policies that raise the cost of energy for Americans, curtail business development, and make the U.S. dependent on countries such as China. He notes that there have been potentially devastating cyber attacks on the U.S. energy infrastructure and electric grid by Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea, and focuses on China as the main threat to energy security through espionage. The chapter presents a plan to move away from a focus on climate change and renewable energy sources and back toward what he calls reliable fossil fuel. In this scenario, all individuals should be able to choose whatever source of energy they prefer, while the government encourages private sector development of all energy sources, including nuclear. McNamee proposes renaming and reorienting the DOA as the Department of Energy Security and Advanced Science. Its new focus should be on energy security, promoting U.S. energy resources to U.S. allies, leading the world in advanced science through the national labs, remediating former Manhattan Project sites, developing new nuclear weapons. The departmental reorganization would thus focus on energy security. Eliminate the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations and return this work to the private sector. Put an end to DOA interference in export of natural gas due to climate. Change concerns. Insist that Fifth RKI Federal Energy Regulatory Commission be an economic regulator and not a climate regulator, and streamline the bureaucracy to allow faster development of new nuclear reactors and weapons. At the same time, the DOA should halt all politicized social agendas such as energy justice and the new department, DES would coordinate with the National Security Council, the Departments of Defense, State, Treasury, and Commerce, along with the intelligence community. The refocusing of the DOA as DESAS would include a review of all federal science agencies. They should be prioritized according to how they support energy security and national security. Remediation of nuclear waste sites should now include more private sector responsibility for waste disposal as a relief to taxpayers, and develop more nuclear storage sites. In terms of military capacity, the development of new nuclear warheads and naval reactors would be paralleled with putting an end to non-proliferation agreements, such as the one with Iran. This reorganization would require specific legislative changes and executive orders. It would also require the department to step back from private sector initiatives and reduce regulatory obstacles. The chapter lists all the various offices that comprise the DOA, explaining their functions and listing desired reforms. McNamee argues that some of these offices should be eliminated or defunded. Overall, the rationale for the reorganization of the DOE focuses on the following assumptions. All energy sources should be used. Developing fossil fuels is a key part of the plan. The national labs should be supported in developing technology projects that maintain the U.S. edge in tech and are used primarily to benefit Americans. The national labs should continue to be supported in maintaining science dominance, for example, artificial intelligence and quantum information sciences. The U.S. should aggressively pursue strategic energy resources wherever possible. The Arctic. Climate change should not be the driver of energy policy. Security is key. Security of the grid and the energy infrastructure. Security from cyber attacks. Freedom from dependence on other countries for energy. The government should not interfere with the market by favoring or supporting some private sector developments over others. Renewable energy development should not be subsidized by taxpayers. The private sector, not the government, should be responsible for developing ways to control carbon emissions. Regulations should be eliminated if they hinder the private sector from developing new sources. For example, nuclear reactors. Taxpayers should not support federal programs that seek solutions for climate change, a partisan political agenda. Finally, McNamee suggests that the Office of Policy develop a national energy security strategy. Commentary. McNamee's review of the DOA articulates, rehearsed conservative arguments about the importance of the free market. He advocates eliminating all government funding for renewable energy sources and control of carbon emission. The plan would change regulations and licensing processes in order to move DOA responsibility for innovation in renewable energy sources to the private sector. It would use legislation where necessary to reshape the DOA, rewrite its mission, and defund any aspects of it that do not comply with conservative ideology. Chapter 12, Key Points. Rename and reorient the DOA as the Department of Energy Security and Advanced Science, DIS. ASASA dismantle any government initiatives to deal with climate change. Continue destructive mining for fossil fuels. Eliminate government support for renewable energy sources. Deregulate nuclear reactor development.